At the back of the release of the second quarter national crime statistics for 2024-25 financial year by the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, it brings me great pleasure to outline the Western Cape crime statistics for the same period. A national release of the crime stats yesterday in Gauteng also comes at a crucial time in the country's calendar of events, as the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children just commenced. We are, MEC Mare, also in the festive season period, and the hive of activities of the period is fed by all. On the crime front, it is a period when the criminal elements also prey on unsuspecting people and businesses through robberies, break-ins, business robberies, online scams, hijackings, and cash-in-transit heists. The vigilance of all, as well as the visibility of the integrated law enforcement contingents, is paramount during this period. MEC Mare, may I mention to you that a glimpse of the statistics that is about to be outlined by the Provincial Crime Register is a testament to the hard work and dedication of scores of law enforcement officials from the SPAs and other law enforcement agencies. A crime picture that is the fruit of their toils as they venture out on a daily basis to areas that others would never dare to work on. Significant increases have been recorded during the period under the review in the Western Cape, such as conduct crimes such as murder, robbery aggravated, as well as trio crimes. The notable decreases in rapes and sexual assaults were also recorded during this period under review. Although as law enforcement agencies that is mindful of the ills that plague the society, we would have preferred increases in this category, as sexual offences have always been characterized by underreporting. MEC Mare, at the heart of the serious violence and violent crimes lies the proliferation of illegal firearms as a weapon of choice in the Western Cape. Every endeavor is made by the SAPS to rid communities of the scourge of illegal firearms and ammunition. The confiscation we make on a weekly basis bear testimony to the relentless efforts in this regard. Our efforts and activities in fight against gang violence is intensifying. Thankfully, we have enhanced the capacity of the HGU unit, yet the struggle continues, afflicting local communities where even women and children are not spared. Last week we saw painful scenes playing out in Ravensmith, where a 14-year-old was killed, 2 other teenagers and a 51-year-old man were injured. The detectives of the HGU, as of the latest update, are closing on the perpetrators. We must find those perpetrators. Gang violence remains a priority for the South African Police Service, especially in the Western Cape. Cases involving high flyers in the gang world and extortion rackets are currently before courts. I don't have to mention those. Everybody knows who is appearing in court. Something helpfully in our quest to deal with the organized crime, steadily we are making inroads into the crime of extortion. While we acknowledge a lot still needs to be done, through the use of the toll-free extortion line, the 0800 31 4444, we received valuable information that we pursue without fail. This number is about to be incorporated into the national number that has been established, so that everybody reports in that number, which will be announced soon, the number that is national number, where all these numbers will, even if you form this one, it will go straight to that number, and then nationally because most of the times we also get from other provinces the reports on extortion with this number. But now there is a national number which will be much easier for everybody to attend to. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share some of the meaningful successes we achieved during the second quarter of the 2024 and 25 financial year. And through targeted operations, a total of 54,921 arrests were made for an array of crimes. Firearms seized were 472, and an assortment of large quantities of drugs were also confiscated. It begs mentioning that car hijacking during the period under review decreased significantly, with stations such as Harare, Nyanga, and Mfuleni showing a decline. However, we have set our sight on precincts such as Philippi East and other problematic hotspots on hijackings. Ladies and gentlemen, we undertake to sustain the gains that we have made in our effort to create safer communities. With others in law enforcement, security companies, and scores of volunteers, neighborhood watches, patrollers, as well as CBFs, we particularly at this period are out there intensifying efforts to create safe for locals and visitors. As much as we know that there are those who will be leaving the province, but there are many that are coming to the province at the same time. Our gratitude goes to the multitude of police officers, law enforcement, community patrollers, neighborhood watches, and all that have been working with us in combating crime, and they're working without fail to bring safe and conducive conditions for our communities. I now hand over to Colonel Mark Bruce from the Crime Register to detail and tabulate the crime statistics for the second quarter of 2024-25 financial year. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, MEC, Provincial Commissioner, Deputy Provincial Commissioners, Senior Officers, members of the media, all protocol observed. I will be presenting the second quarter crime statistics, police recorded crime statistics for the Western Cape, the July to September 2024 period. Okay, first of all, we'll just look at the provincial picture. This is a 5-year comparative statistics, but we'll just compare the last, this year with the July to September 2024 period with the July to September 2023 period. Okay, looking at our murders, we've actually decreased by 101 counts, equating to 8.7% reduction, and then our sexual offences, 162 counts less. Attempted murders, however, increased by 10 counts, and then our assault GBH decreased by 41 counts. Our common assault showed an increase of 87, with our common robberies as well as our aggravated robberies showing decreases of 195 and 480 counts respectively. Overall, our contact crime category showed a 3.1% reduction, which is 882 less contact crimes comparatively speaking. And then our rapes, looking at the sexual offences, our rapes, 85 less, which is a 7.3% reduction. Our sexual assaults, a 19.1% reduction. And then both our attempted sexual offences as well as our contact sexual offences showing increases of 2 counts each. Our subcategories of robberies, which is included within the robbery with aggravated circumstances crime above that I've just looked at, shows that our carjackings is 26 less compared to the previous comparable period. Our house robberies 42 more, and then our business robberies 123 less, which equates to a 31.3% reduction. Overall, our trio crimes, which is the carjackings, house robberies, and the business robberies, we showed a decrease of 177 less, which is a 5.5% reduction. Cash in transits showed an increase of 3, where we had 5 for the past quarter, with the previous comparable period having registering 2, with 0 bank robberies, and 18 truck jackings, showing a reduction of 5 for the truck jackings, 5 counts. Okay. The per capita ratio, that is if we take the population, which is estimated to 7.47 million people in the Western Cape, we break them up into portions of 100,000 people. We will then see that 14 people out of 100,000 fell victim to murders for the July to September 2024 period, which is slightly lower to the previous comparable period. And then for our rapes, we had also 14 people out of 100,000. Attempted murder, 15, if we round it off to 15 out of 100,000. And then our assault GBH, 72 out of 100,000. Our common assault, 134 out of 100,000 people. And then our common robbery, 35 out of 100,000 people. Our contact-related crimes, which includes the arson and malicious damage to property crimes, both showed decreases, with a significant decrease in the malicious damage to property, 1,265 less malicious damage to property counts. Our contact-related category overall showed a reduction of 16.8%. Then, for the property-related crimes, all of the property-related crimes showed reductions, with the exception of the stock theft that showed an increase of 7 counts, a 3.5% increase, and resulting in the property-related crime category showing a 17% reduction. Our other serious crimes category, which includes theft, commercial crime, and shoplifting, where we can see that our commercial crime showed an increase of 1,088. The commercial crime includes various crimes relating to fraud, and also theft under false pretenses, including crimes such as your card swapping and card skimming, and various other crimes under other statutes and different acts. Our 17 reported crimes, which are all of the crimes that I've just mentioned previously or earlier, collectively showed a reduction of 9.7%, which is 7,628 less crimes. And the final category here for the provincial stats is the crimes detected as a result of police action, that is relating to the actions undertaken by the police or law enforcement agencies in the province. And we will note there that our illegal possession of firearms and ammunition showed a desirable increase of 119 more cases. Our drug-related crime, an increase of 2,727 cases. And then overall, our crimes detected as a result of police action showed an increase of 3,037. I can maybe just mention that the drug-related crime figure there, 1,137 out of the 19,573 were actually relating to dealing in drugs, which equates to 17.2%. Then looking at our contact crimes, which is as a whole, and we can note there that the blue line is the quarter that we just 2024 quarter, July to September. The yellow line is the July to September 2023 quarter, and we will note there that for July and August we had reductions, with only September showing an increase of 82 contact crimes. The only further down on the slide, you will note that we've broken it up into the districts, and the Winelands is the only district that showed an increase of 73. The remaining districts all showed decreases, with significant decreases in the City of Cape Town district, 587 less contact crimes, which equates to a 3.1% reduction. And then we go to the top 30 stations for the contact crimes, and we will note there that 8 of our top 8, Western Cape's top 8 stations featured in the national top 30, where Mfuleni which featured nationally and provincially as in number one, in the first position, showed an increase of 3.9% for contact crimes. And also Kailicha showed an increase also there, 15.3% in the province, fifth position. The remaining three stations all showed decreases in the top five. Looking at our causative factors, or the motives behind why the murders and attempted murders and assault GBHs occurred, and we will note there that the causative factor for all three crimes, namely the murders, attempted murders and assault GBH, were arguments and misunderstandings. For our murders, arguments accounted for 21.4% of the murders, followed by gang-related murders, which was 16.7%, and then our retaliatory revenge murders accounted for 14.4%. Our robbery-related murders accounted for 9.2%, and then our vigilante murders accounted for 5.9%. Our extortion-related murders were 14 in total, accounting for 1.3%, and then our taxi-related murders accounting for 1.2%. Going further down, our hijacking-related murders, which is separate from the robberies, accounted for 0.6%, that is including our attempts. And then our incidents where members of law enforcement and the security, private security industry were murdered in the line of duty, that is excluding policemen. There were 5 in total. And then also just going further down onto the rape-related murders, there was a single rape-related murder for the quarter. The remaining figures are all visible there. And also looking at the places of occurrence for the three crimes, we will note there that the public places, which include streets, open fields, recreational areas, parks, beaches, and parking areas, were also for the murders and attempted murders, were the top place of occurrence, with 686 or 64.5% occurring in public places. And then in our attempted murders, 58.8% of our attempted murders occurred in public places. Our second highest place of occurrence for the murders and attempted murders was residential residences of perpetrators or victims. This includes residences known by victims or the perpetrators, family, friends, neighbours, and other residences. And they made up 25.7% of our murders and 29.4% of our attempted murders. If we look at particularly the assault GBH, this was actually the top place of occurrence for the assault GBH, where 1,763 or 47.8% of our assault GBHs occurred in residences as well. Our liquor outlets accounted for 2.2% of the murders, where these murders occurred inside liquor outlets. 3.3 or 36 of our attempted murders occurred inside liquor outlets, and 96 assault GBH cases occurred inside liquor outlets. Just skip and just maybe just for interest, further down, educational institutions, a single murder occurred at an educational institution, and 5 attempted murders and 39 assault GBH cases there. Looking at the selected contact crimes against women and children, looking at the same 3 crimes, murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH, we will note there that there's been a year-on-year increase with these particular crimes against women. From the 2022 July to September period all the way down to the 2024 period, we'll note that the murders have increased from 118 to 124 and now to 132. As well as our attempted murders have shown a similar pattern, and our assault GBHs cases against women as well. Similar picture is also visible with the children, where there were 55 in the July to September period for 2022, all the way up now to 96 for the 2024 period, a 62.7% increase from between the 2024 and the 2023 period for murder against children. Also just looking at the murder on its own, and we can see there that all of the districts show decreases with the exception of the Karoo, and the highest volume decrease was in the Cape Winelands district, where there were 60 counts lower, followed by the city of Cape Town, where there were 18 counts less. Overall, an 8.7% reduction, as indicated earlier. The city of Cape Town makes up, or constitutes 83.5% of our murders in the province, actually. Okay, for the top 30 stations for murder, the top 9 for the provincial murder provincially featured in the national top 30. And we can see there that Philippi East was second nationally, which is in first place in the province. It showed an increase of 60.9%, which is 28 more counts of murder. Delft was in fourth place nationally, it's second in the province, as well as Nyanga, Mfuleni, and Gugulethu, all showing reductions in the top 5. So one of the top 5 being Philippi East, showing an increase. Then looking at our multiple murders for the quarter, we can see there that we had 56 cases where there were 2 victims, and 54 of those were in the city of Cape Town district. And then we had 5 cases where there were 3 victims. There were no victims in cases that were more than 3 per case. So in total, there was a 61 case dockets that are under investigation for multiple murders, with 127 victims. Just looking at a brief description of the circumstances or the causative factors relating to the murders that I referred to, that are 3 murders. And we will note there that the incident in Nyanga, where there were 3 victims, it was a retaliatory attack. And then there were 2 incidents in Philippi East, where there were 3 victims, which was a house robbery and a vigilante attack. And then we had an incident in Kailicha, which was a robbery, a so-called, let's say, a street robbery, and then a gang-related murder, which also took place there in an informal settlement in Delft. Looking at the murder, or the weapon that is frequently used in murders, and we will note there that firearms are mainly used in murders, accounting for 55.4%, 589 counts, followed by knives, which account for 15.5%, and then sharp instruments accounting for 7.9%. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we had no murders of police officers with SAPS members for the quarter from July to September. Comparatively speaking, you will note that the previous year, the previous comparable period in 2023, there were 7 versus 0 for this period. And then looking at the murders of the farming community, this is referring to people that are killed on the farm where the actual suspects are not residing on the farm but are externally coming from outside. And we had 1 incident in the Porterville area, incident of murder where a farmer was killed in a house robbery on a farm in Porterville in the West Coast district. Looking at the attempted murder for the quarter, the 2 districts, the city of Cape Town and the Garden Route that's visible there, showed decreases, 23 less attempted murders and 9 less in the Garden Route, with all the other districts showing increases, with the highest volume increase being shown in the Cape Winelands area, 26 more there. City of Cape Town accounted for 68.9% of attempted murders in the province for the period, followed by the Cape Winelands that accounted for 19.3% of attempted murders. 10 of the provincial top 30 featured in the national top 30 for attempted murder, and they are visible in the yellow there. You'll note that Worcester is number 5 nationally, but number 1 in the Western Cape, with a reduction, however, of 16.2%, 11 less. And then we can see in position 2 is Delft, and then position 4, Philippi East. We showed increases there of 3 and 20 respectively. Manenberg, however, showed a decrease of 2 counts of attempted murder. And also just looking at the weapon that's most frequently used in attempted murders, and we will note there that firearms are still also most frequently used in 68% of our attempted murders, followed by knives that were used in 14% of our attempted murders there. 155 attempted murders with knives. What is interesting there, I think, also is just to see the knives there in the Winans district, where there were more knives used in by suspects in the Winans district, the 76. Then the sexual offences. All of the districts for the quarter showed decreases, with the exception of the West Coast district that showed an increase of 2 sexual offences. City of Cape Town made up or contributed 63.3% of our provincial sexual offences for the period. Okay. If we look there, the top 4 stations provincially featured in the national top 30, with Mfuleni featuring 4th nationally and Delft featuring 5th. Mfuleni, however, Mfuleni and Kraaifontein in 3rd position showed increases, as well as Nyanga in 5th position. Delft and Harare, however, showed decreases in the top 5 provincially. Then just looking at rape, which forms part of the sexual offences category, it was only the Central Karoo that showed an increase of 3. All of the other districts showed decreases, with the highest volume decrease in the Cape Winans area, followed by the City of Cape Town district showing second highest volume decrease with 24 less. City of Cape Town contributed to 64.9% of the rapes in the province for the period. And then if we look at the top 30 stations for rape, we will note there that the top 4 in the province featured in the top 30 nationally, with Mfuleni and Kraaifontein both showing increases, and Delft, Harare and Khayelitsha showing decreases in the top 5. Looking at the contact crimes, the murders, attempted murders, rapes and assault GBH cases or counts, we will note there that 32 murders were alcohol related. That is where the suspects or the victims were under the influence of alcohol, and 2 were drug related. 39 of our attempted murders, the victims or suspects were under the influence of alcohol, and in 2 counts were drug related. And then 192 counts for rapes, the victims were under the influence of alcohol, and 50 under the influence of drugs for rape. And then looking at assault GBH, in 554 counts, the victims were under the influence of alcohol, and 37 the victims were under the influence of drugs. And then confirmed incidents occurring at or around liquor outlets, we will note there that there were 30 murders that occurred around, 30 murders, 44 attempted murders, 4 rapes and 484 assault GBH counts occurred around or at liquor outlets, which include taverns, shebeens, bars, pubs or nightclubs. Then looking at the murders and rapes at educational premises, we will note there that there were 5 rapes at schools, 2 at daycare aftercare centres, and 2 at tertiary institutions. And there were, as earlier referred to, the single murder at a school. Looking only at the murders at educational premises, we will see there that is the incident in the Overberg area. It occurred in the Culloden area, where the victim and the perpetrator were both learners. And in the rape at educational premises, we will note there that at two of the cases, or single cases which occurred at the city of Cape Town and the West Coast, and then our schools occurred mainly in the city of Cape Town. 3 occurred in the city of Cape Town, single incidents in the Central Karoo and Garden Route districts. And then the tertiary education, rapes at tertiary education institutions occurred in the city of Cape Town. Both occurred there, the 2. Just broken down further, the rapes at educational premises. In the 2 that occurred there, in one instance, the perpetrator was an employee, and in the second instance, the perpetrator is unknown or not specified. In both cases of these cases at daycare centers or creches, the victims were learners. And then looking at the schools, in all 5 of the cases, the victims were learners, and out of those 5, the suspects were also learners, or 3 of the suspects were learners out of the 5, and in 2 of the cases at schools, the suspects are unknown at this stage. And then looking at the tertiary institutions, in 2 of the cases there, the victims were visiting students in the actual hostels of the tertiary institution, which they were actually visiting the students and visiting a particular student, and were actually, the suspects were actual students of the tertiary institution. Breaking down the selected domestic violence related crimes, we will note there that for both comparative periods from the 2023 and 2024 period, the percentage of women that are victims of domestic related incidents remained the same. It was 75%. And if we look further down at the actual statistics per crime, the bottom row is the previous quarter's figure, and next to the Western Cape in the middle, you will note there that this is this quarter's figure. Overall, we've shown a reduction of 6%, 475 less. But you will note there that females, excuse me, I just want to females accounted for in total for 5,542. And then you will note there that there were increases in the domestic violence related attempted murders, assault, GBH, common robberies and arson, with stabilization in the murders and decreases in the rapes, sexual assaults, common assaults, robbery with aggravated circumstances, and theft general, as well as malicious damage to property and burglary at residential premises. Looking at the carjackings, it was referred to earlier in the opening remarks. There was a reduction in the 31, a reduction of 31 in the city of Cape Town, as well as the Garden Route, where there was a reduction of 2. The city of Cape Town made up or contributed to 97.6% of our carjackings. The top 9 in the province were actually in the top 30 nationally, with Philippi East being the top provincially, as well as Delft in second place nationally and provincially. Both of those stations showed increases of 10 and 12 respectively. And then we go down to Nyanga, and then also Harare and Mfuleni in 3rd and 5th and 6th place. That showed reductions there, with significant reduction in the Harare area of 59 less there, 51.8% reduction in carjackings there, you'll note. Then our cash and transit robberies, as mentioned earlier, we had 5 for the quarter, which is 3 more than the previous comparable period. We've just done a little bit of a breakdown there. They were mainly cross pavement robberies, which is where the victims are security officers that are targeted between merchants and the actual armoured vehicle that they are conveying the cash in. And 2 of those incidents occurred in the City of Cape Town district, and single incidents, cross-pavement incidents, occurred in the Winelands and the Garden districts. And then we had an incident where the vehicle was attacked whilst in motion, an armoured vehicle attacked whilst in motion in the Winelands area in Stellenbosch. Looking at our kidnappings, you will note there that there's been a month-on-month increases for the kidnappings for July, 106, 113 for August, and 99 for September. Looking at the top 30 stations there, you'll note there that Fuleni, that's first in the province, featured 29th nationally there. It showed an increase of 7. And Khayelitsha, second provincially, followed by Lingulethu West, Delft and Kleinvlei. All of them showed increases in the kidnappings. We've broken this down into 3 categories, which mirrors the national presentation yesterday, where we will note that 5.1% of our kidnappings were ransom where ransom was demanded. 1.7%, which is 5, were extortion related, and there was a single human trafficking related kidnapping. I can also just say that if we look at our hijacking related kidnappings, they actually made up the majority, 37% of our kidnappings in the province. 109 we had for the quarter, followed by robbery related kidnappings, which excludes hijackings, which made up 37, total 37. So if we combine the hijackings and the robberies, we will note that it's 49.5% of all of our kidnappings are actually robbery related, as you know, related to robberies. The rape related kidnappings were 21 also. And then if we look at all of the kidnappings collectively, which kidnappings are domestic violence related, we will note that 9.2% of the kidnappings are domestic violence related, which is 27 kidnappings. Illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, this is just the crimes really dependent on police action. And here we would like to see a desirable increase. And 4 of the districts showed increases, with the highest volume increase in the City of Cape Town. And this is indicative of operations and initiatives undertaken by the law enforcement agencies. 116 out of the, and then the only districts that showed undesirable decreases was the Winelands, with 3 less and 7 less in the Central Karoo. You will note there that the 11 stations in the province, 11 of our 11 top stations all featured in the top 30 nationally there, with Philippi featuring at the top with an increase of 29, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, and Delft as well as Manenberg also showing desirable increases there. Mitchell's Plain, unfortunately a decrease of 19, but Gugulethu an increase of 18 counts there for illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. Then also similarly, the drug-related crime in the province, all of the districts showed desirable increases here. And then we will note there that 26 of our top 30 stations provincially featured in the top 30 stations nationally there. And then our core diversion, these are incidents where the police are diverted to deal with peaceful and violent protests. And you will note there that for the quarter we had 92 peaceful protests that the police dealt with for the quarter, and 42 incidents of unrest that they had dealt with. And this is just a breakdown per public order policing unit in the province. Thank you, Minister General.